Hello everyone, welcome to Red Exploit with me Jay. So today it's kind of a second video we are making. The first video was on the discovery scan configuration and running a discovery scan, and then creating a report, and then how to just view the report. So that was our previous videos about, and this video is about configuring the network scan and same as like executing it and then yielding a report, and then how you can just read the report, or like how the report looks with an SOS. So if you are new to this blog or video, so I would say I will already always drop my Medium blog link in the description, so you can always go back and see like which series we are in and what we have already discussed, and you just get an overview about it. So previously, in this scanner series, first we started exploring the products with Tenable, and we started looking into Nessus, and we just deep dived into understanding what is Nessus and what's its capabilities and what is its usage and what was its architecture and how does it is useful in a small scale and then a large enterprise organization. And then we in the second blog we tried installing Nessus Essential, because if you want to just know about Nessus, we need to just try and hands-on, before you just read about the documentation and understand about the tool. So Nessus Essential comes with 16 free licenses to scan, 16 free IP license to scan. So it's always good for a start point to understand Nessus. So the previous blog we just did some installation of Nessus Essential, and the previous video was like having the first phase of the scanning phase in our pen testing methodology, where we just um, where you just find out or filter out the unreachable assets, I would say. So whenever you are doing a pen testing engagement, so if your client hand over you a list of scope subnets or IPs, so the first part will be you will be running a discovery scan to check whether how many IPs are reachable, or you have the reachability to the IPs. If there is 10,000 IPs and if you can't reach 10,000 IPs, then there is a problem. Then you need to just get back to the team to establish the connection to just do your activity. So it's always first phase is like running a discovery scan and finding out like what are the unreachable assets and communicating with your customer, and then finalizing it. Okay, so then it's agreed that those IPs are not reachable, maybe decommissioned, so we can just proceed with the engagement. So in the previous discovery scan, we found out like these are the four IPs which are reachable, where these three are VBox specific, and then this is the one which is live, which is our Ubuntu box. For those who are new to our blog, maybe I will just show you. So we are using a victim machine here, which is running Ubuntu, and here we just created our own script where it just makes the box vulnerable by installing uh, you know by installing this OpenSSH and DVW application and some MSSQL DB, sorry, MySQL DB, and then making it vulnerable by exposing a default credentials for this DB. So it's just to make this machine vulnerable so that we get some results when we run some scan. So now we are in a second phase of our scanning window or scanning phase. Like first phase is the discovery, which is done, and we know now 10024 is our target. That is only reachable. So now we are just going to create a network scan to just find some vulnerabilities on this asset. So as we have discussed before, the first step in configuring the scan is like you need to create a logic, or you need to create uh, a list of commands, or a kind of a brain for the scan, where you have already configured like what needs to be done in the as part of the scan, or what you need to see in the scan. So if we always create a policy, we go to policy. Nessus have already some templates available, so we can just click on it and then customize the template and move ahead. So we used discovery host discovery for the discovery scan, and for here there are like many options available to uncover the vulnerabilities, but for this um, network, I would say basic and advanced scan is always preferable one. And basic network scan is a very basic template, I would say. Like if you want a lightweight scan, you can just simply go with this basic templates. It's quite straightforward. It has the discovery phase to choose what port options you want, either common ports or all 60,000 ports, and then if you want to custom it, and then you can still do it with what kind of ports you want and all this. So this is quite straightforward, but I always prefer to using an advanced scan template because we can still customize or like tweak each bit of the scan configuration. So I would always prefer to do it. So come, let's go and set up this scan policy for the network scan using advanced scan template. So we'll just name it as my network scan, maybe first network scan. And I just want to also make a note here. So network scan are always two types. One is unauthenticated and authenticated. So when if you are not providing any credentials in Nessus, so that like Nessus can use these credentials to log in and perform some activities, then it becomes unauthenticated. And if you provide some set of credentials for the Nessus to log in using SSH or Windows authentication, and then perform any scans or checks, then it is considered as authentication. So here I just mentioned as an authentication for our identification. So in this discovery, it's same, and we will be disabling it because we don't want Nessus to scan our local host, which where the Nessus is running. So I don't want to do that. So none of the configuration changes because we don't use any fragile device in the network. And ping methods, yes, we use ICMP, TCP, and ARP. And port scan, it is as of now default, and you don't need to check this because consider unscanned port as ghost, means like Nessus, it may be we don't know the exact reason until we find out like why Nessus couldn't able to reach this port, maybe a firewall or something like that. But what Nessus will do, if you check this box, is like it will consider the port as closed. Maybe it will just give the results it couldn't able to reach, instead of like it couldn't able to reach, it gives you like closed. It's a false positive basically. And these are the local port enumerators, where it Nessus use these ports to still enumerate the available ports. And for this network port scanners, we always use sync because this is considered reliable and recommended, because we are not fully established in connection, and this will save time. If you use TCP, it's like a three-way handshake signal, and it will take time to establish and get an acknowledgement and then reset it. So I always prefer going with sync because it will yield the same results, no false positives, I would say, comparing to TCP. So it's always good to use this one. So on the service discovery, I don't see any options to tweak here. So probe all ports to find the services. Yes, we need to we need Nessus to go reach all the ports and find the services and running in it, and search for SSL on all TCP ports. Yeah, good idea. But you can also use this known SSL or TLS ports, where maybe Nessus start using 443, 8088, 443, and 8843 and 8080. So all this known ports where the web applications or web servers will be running. So it's always a matter of what kind of scenario you want to run or what kind of environment you are. And this identity collect identity data from Active Directly, like we are no more performing any credential scan, so it can't have an no log into a machine as a user and then try to enumerate the AD. So it's, if you're performing a credential scan, I would say it's okay to have this option enabled, so you have a credential, so it will use the Microsoft ID module or whatever maybe the add-ons it has to just enumerate the users, domains, and OUs, maybe the policies or something like that. So but now it's no use because we are performing an unauthenticated scan. So our next phase is assessment. and that's where we are going to define what needs to be done as part of a network scan. So here it says mostly about general, about the SMTPs and address and to address, nothing to make any changes. For brute force, we don't provide credentials as of now, but it's always stick to only to use the credentials provided by the user, because brute forcing can always annoy the network, and then the customers can still be coming up saying like there is too many login attempts, and we have the blue teamers alerted, SOC team is like alerted on this activity, maybe like you need to just more fine tune it or something like that. So these are the options. If you take this brute force, Nessus use Hydra is part of the utility it uses to perform this kind of brute forcing. So whenever you just enable this, always enable no test account slow, and then enable this, then it enables automatically the Hydra, and then it tries with all the settings you do it here. Maybe like you can add a password file, login files for it to brute force. So if you don't want to use any brute force, just proceed further. You don't need to tweak anything here. And this web application module, also like as we discussed in our first blog, Tenable has a separate web application scanning solution which is called as Tenable VAS. So here in Tenable Nessus, I would say web application scanning test cases are always limited. So if you see web application settings, and it doesn't means like you are testing 100% of web application vulnerabilities with the Nessus. So Nessus is a network scanner, so it does a basic web application scanning. If it sees any 8443, 8443, 8843, 8800 or something like that, so it start analyzing the response headers, maybe the cookies, if no pre-login cookies, or the SSL certificates and so on. It doesn't goes and checks for XSS, SQL injection, or SSRF, nothing like that. No. So web application, yes, we can have it as on, because um, we have DVWA application already set up in the victim machine. So it's always good to have check like what Nessus gets us as part of this web application scanning. And as we are using Ubuntu, this is completely not needed. So we are not going to do anything. Scan for malware, no, we don't need it. Um, So it says Oracle database. We don't use Oracle database as of now. If you use Oracle database, we can just enable it to see what it does actually. So then report, no, we can already use it and extract it. So what does it says in the advanced option? Enable safe checks. Okay, it's good to do it. Stop scanning hosts that become unresponsible during the scan. Maybe this is a good solution for a larger network, because it doesn't take any system down. But now it's like only one system for us. We are skipping it. So this is still a kind of a random order. We don't it is not a much necessary option. Like you need to set an important option, I would say. Um, so this is it's like scan targets with multiple domain names in parallel. So it's always good to have it disabled, because it will overwhelm the host and doing parallel scans. So it's always not not what we can say is recommended, I would say. So here you can always check set up like how many simultaneous checks per host should be performed, and simultaneously host per scan, and so that you don't overload your scanners, so it's like almost of a performance issue. And you can always add this exclude path here, file system, so that if you have any kind of sensitive data which you don't want to mess up with the scan, then you can always try to have exclude and include options here. So this is the debugging option. So there have four levels: basic, advanced, full, and unrestricted. So you can have the level of login, I would say, like the detailed login. If you want a very detailed login, you can go with level 4, and normal debugging is like 2 or 3. So it's for the debug logs, I would say. So where you just want to see like what the scan has done, or like if there is any error encountered, then you can go and see the log. So I just put with the basic thing. So here, if you have any credentials to configure, you can do it here by a public key method, Kerberos, certificate, password here, so that like Nessus will try to access using SSH, and this is for Windows credentials. You have this domain, and and this is an SNMP configuration. So if we have anything, and these are the plugins which Tenable is going to use. So as you can see, web servers and service detection, Windows selected plugins. So I think we are pretty much configured the policy. No, I'm not going to use it. Sorry, I have clicked it. I need to remove it. So save, and then now we created the brain. Now we need an encapsulation, so which is the scan. So we are creating an advanced scan here. So here I just have a tab for user defined where I just created my policy. So I directly click this policy. I'm just going to give the name here. I mean like the IP 10.0.2.4, I guess. Let me double check so that like I don't run the scan for nothing. 10.0.2.4, yeah, 10.0.2.4 exactly. Schedule, as I already mentioned, if you want to do a periodic scan, yeah, you can always do it. And if you are configuring a weekly or a recurring scan, please consult the documentation, because if you think like you are just scheduling a weekly scan, a recurring scan, which says it starts at 8 o'clock from today, which is 20, and what it does is like Tenable runs a first scan at today 8 o'clock, and then it repeats on every Thursday of every week. So if you want to run a scan from Thursday, you need to make it from Thursday, which is 27, the next week Thursday, so that it starts the first scan on this time, and then it's recurs, or like it periodically runs the scan on Thursday. But if you have it for example 20, and then it will start the scan on this date and then follow this rule here. So always make sure, and if you can have doubts, you can always visit the Tenable documentation for clarity. And here, if you want to have some notification, the scan starts and ends or error, so you can always add your mail address here. So let's save it. Scan got saved. So what we are going to do is like we just want to click it and then launch. So it's running. It should probably take 5 to 10 minutes, I would say, because it has one machine to scan, but still, lot more plugins to scan. And it started its enumeration, and it sees 22 and 80 is open. That's a good sign. It's doing something. Maybe like we will just wait until the scan gets completed, and then we can go and see what vulnerabilities has been identified, and then how to export a report and how does the report looks, guys. So I will just meet you once the scan is completed. So just grab a coffee, sit tight, and have a refreshing 5 or 10 minutes, and then we will be back once the scan is done. So I think the scan is completed. So we had a quite less ports to scan. Maybe like we can go and see. As I already mentioned, Tenable will have too many information findings where this information findings will be constructed to reflect a medium, high or critical vulnerability. So these are the plugins which will be helpful, or the kind of a dependent plugins where the Nessus will start finding a path to just relate it with other plugins and try to escalate the severity. So here, what does it say? It says like there is a directory found, so that's why it says like there is a directory enumeration. And here it's a Apache version. um, and So these are the service this detection thing, and here you can see like password authentication accepted and server type and version information here. And SSH algorithm and HMAC algorithms are enabled, which is not good. So it's suggesting some fixes out of it. So backported security patch detected. So it says like if you want to confirm it, we need credentials to perform the local checks. So which means like it logins and then perform the checks locally on the machine. So it's always, there will be a reduced false positive ratio when we just do the authenticated scan. So it's always good to an authenticated scan, but it depends upon the customer's ask and the scenario. You just want to define what kind of scan you are going to perform. Um, so if you go to HTTP, as you can see, this CSP headers. So there is some discrepancy with the CSP headers set as permissive policy. So uh, and here is an X-frame option thing. So we have more information on this because we have enabled this web application plugin. So it's just started finding about with the response headers, like without performing a login with the pre-login page, it starts finding like the SSL related stuff or response headers related findings. So here, this is what I was telling about. So here there is a information which says like HTTP version, I mean Java version, sorry, Apache version is 2.4.58, and which it used to build a critical vulnerability because it says there is some CVEs identified on this version. So this is found from the information. So from the information vulnerability, it got the version installed and then it checked the other plugins, and it just found a hit where this version is vulnerable for the CVE. And this is same. So this is how the network scan looks like, and it really depends upon the setup of the machine, where you just get huge list of vulnerabilities. So what we'll do is like we will export the report as usual, PDF and everything, generate a report. So once you are done with the engagement, you perform a false positive analysis, and then you create a report so that you can showcase it to your the customer, or maybe the dev teams or the server owners. So this is how it looks, and will be having a good analytics here. So how many critical, high, and medium, and what are the vulnerabilities here. So we will also have a detailed report where it mentions what are the details about each vulnerabilities. So this is, and you can also see a recommendation thing. Uh, okay, this is about the notes, or a kind of a warning, I would say. So hope this video would have brought some kind of new information to you on Nessus, like how to configure the network scan and scan the targets. And this is an unauthenticated scan, but later we can set up a SSH user to our machine. Maybe like we will also perform an authenticated scan to just see. We can also compare the findings and see like how or like what more findings Tenable is finding when we just performing an authenticated scan. So guys, I will just break here, and I don't want to um, um, load with too much of information. So let's see in another video or a blog, as discussed, like with we will just explore the authenticated scan and see, compare the reports which we got in the unauthenticated scanner, so that we can know like what Tenable is capable of, and how we can just perform effective scan using Nessus, either an authenticated scan or an authenticated scan. So I will just take a leave here, guys. So see you on another new content. So until then, it's bye bye from Jay. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.